Hi, I'm Mr. Valkeerie. I have a Honda CRF250. I've had it for about 6 months. When I bought it in January, I had a clear intention of using it for wild camping and touring and sticking to the little roads. The first thing I did was try to figure out, how do I pack luggage on this thing? And it wasn't obvious. I googled around and I went through adventure travel sites and Thumper Talk and YouTube and all sorts of places, and gradually figured out the sort of thing I might want. My first idea wasn't a very good idea. I thought I'll get some aluminium spars and some rectangular tube and make myself a frame to put some cheap panniers on, just ex-army panniers. And then I rode the bike, and I brought it out here where I am at the moment, and rode it through mud and stuff and dropped it a few times, and thought to myself, just how robust do these panniers need to be so that when I pick the bike up I don't have bits of metal bent and in all the wrong places. And the more I thought about it, the more I thought that having a frame type pannier arrangement wasn't a good idea. The key breakthrough was having a look at a site called One Step Beyond. It's a site by Stephanie Jevons, who has a Honda CRF250, and she's going around the world, and I tried to figure out what sort of panniers she had, and it turns out that there's a neat set of panniers made by a company called Kriega, and that's what I got on today. What happened is I went camping over the weekend, and when I came back I didn't bother to unpack. Everything on the bike is as it was when I came home, so I thought it'd be fun to come out here, unpack the bike and show you what I got and show you how it all goes together. So this is the bike. As you can see, I've got a bit of stuff on it there. There's a tank bag. It's a magnetic tank bag. It's made by a company called Kriega. I like the magnet idea because I can just literally pull it off the bike, like so. Here are the saddlebags. I'll just say a little about the Kriega panniers. I won't review them. There's reviews online. The difficulty I found wasn't finding reviews of the panniers, it's realising that they existed in the first place. They're called Overlander 30s. There's two 15-litre bags. There's a special clip system. I've got a little rack here, and the pannier hooks into some special clips that I've attached to the rack, and it hooks onto the frame, and there's a strap that goes across here. There are these cam arrangement things that they're very easy to loosen and tighten. If it wasn't for the fact I've got all these bungees on the bike, I could have the panniers off the bike in less than a minute, and it takes a few minutes longer to put them back on, but basically it's a very easy system. They are waterproof, they're beautifully made, they are ridiculously expensive, but when I looked at the options for making them, I realised I was going to spend a lot of time and end up with something that probably wasn't half as good. They put a lot of thought into these. They're made specifically for dirt bikes, and they're made to endure the kind of punishment that you get on a dirt bike. And if you read the reviews of people who've used them in places like Thailand, etc., they're pretty decent panniers. They review well. I've been motorcycling since the 60s. I've had a number of bikes. I've always gone camping. When I started out, equipment was actually pretty dreadful. Basically, you got some bags of any description, you threw them over the bike, and you found as many pieces of elastic or string as you could, and you tied everything on. These days it's very different. People buy large bikes, they've got huge bolt-on panniers. and there's kind of slots for everything, and it's all fantastically well organised. But the thing I dislike about it is, if anything breaks, it's bloody hard to get it fixed. Whereas if an elastic snaps, it's not a big deal. It never happens anyway. The second thing is, I like to keep things small. I've done a bit of walking and I've done a bit of cycling, and when you walk and when you cycle, one of the key things is keeping the weight down. And there's a whole ethos there of not carrying stuff you don't need, choosing stuff that's fairly light, thinking carefully about what you need to take. And I think buying a big bike and huge amounts of space kind of is detrimental to that process of analysis. I've seen bikes parked up in various places like Morocco, and to be honest, it looked like they were moving house. I just no idea how anybody would need that much stuff. And one of the key issues for me is that handling of the bike suffers. The number of things that you can usefully do on the bike goes down. It's harder to nip through traffic, it's harder to squeeze through spaces between trees, it's harder to pick the bike up, or it may be impossible to pick the bike up. In certain types of collision, you know, a hard pannier may actually get ripped off, and then what do you do? I'll confess, I've no experience of riding, you know, a big BMW with hard panniers and all the rest of it. My approach is keeping it simple, keeping it light. So what I'm going to do now is unpack all the stuff I took camping, and you can see what there is, and you can see what you can usefully get on this bike. I'm out on the trail here. I'll tell you more about it in a minute, but I deliberately brought it out here so you realise I'm not pissing about. This is real stuff, and it's a real trail, and I'm really packed, and I can really camp. Okay? Okay, this is the stuff that came out of my right pannier. Sleeping bag, snug pack. It's like a 2.5 season bag. It's wouldn't be any use in winter once temperatures get down to freezing, but perfectly fine for mid-spring to mid-autumn. Multi-mat. It's a 3/4 length self-inflating mattress. Sleeping bag liner, which I love. Inflatable pillow. And a towel. And that all goes in one pannier, so that's everything I need, apart from a tent, to spend the night somewhere. I don't even need the towel, to be honest, but it's useful to have. And, here are the contents of the second pannier. So, toiletries, including all the endless medications that I have to take. Some socks and underpants, another top, plate, forks and knives, complimentary Honda sunglasses, washing up liquid, packet of soup that I haven't eaten yet, mug, glass, powdered milk, Kindle, music player, earphones, methylated spirits for the stove, battery backup for all my kit, solar charger so that I can recharge my thing. I do have a PowerPoint on the bike, but I've got this as well. 2 torches, a wind-up torch and another torch for the tent. Cable, a puncture thing, no idea if it will work or not. Piece of aluminium foil for the stove, and this is good, cooking pot, and my stove. Tea, lighters, And this is a multi-fuel stove. It's very compact. It'll run off just about anything, including any random bits of wood you happen to find. That's what it looks like. I can either use it for meths, which boils water very quickly, or I can use sticks or pine cones or any random crap from the hedgerow. Okay, let's look at the tank bag, see what's in there. We've got a map of the local area, programme for the Adventure Travel Film Festival, which I was at, another programme which I didn't need, and I got a notepad and a pen, very useful. Okay, I got some paper towel, jiffy cloth, suntan cream, my vapey thing, stuff for cleaning optical apparatus, very useful, particularly my camera, my GoPro, my specs, my visor, etc. I got my GoPro in here. I got a gilet. It's now this is a fantastically useful thing because it's so light and it's really warm. It's a quality brand, RAB. They make all sorts of high quality outdoor stuff. It's all sorts of puffs up, and I can either slip it on when I'm riding if I need a bit of warmth, or I can slip it on in my sleeping bag, or I can wear it in the evening. I'll keep it in here in case I need it, because you never know what the weather's going to do, and sometimes it's nice not to get cold. There we go. And it's not even as small as it'll go, it's just a compression sack. My waterproof trousers, a few of these for nailing down a tarp if I need to, because sometimes it's nice to have a tarp available. Playing cards. That's about it. Right, I'll just go through the rest of the stuff on the back of the bike here. I got a Vango Banshee 200 tent. It's a brilliant little tent. It's not very big, but it does the job. I've got an alarmed lock. I got an inflatable chair, believe it or not, and it really works and it's really good. I got another tarp. Yeah, that's it. And it's not overloaded. There's enough room for, if I wanted to, could put a 5-litre petrol tank in there. It's not very organised, and the perceptive among you will say, well, why don't you have a proper tail pack on there? And I'll discuss that in just a minute, because hey, I actually now have a proper tail pack, but I just haven't tried it out yet. Now I'm going to show you a few things I could have brought with me, but didn't. I put them in my rucksack instead, but quite clearly I'm nowhere near the carrying capacity of the bike. These are things that I could have used in different circumstances. So the first is water to go. I took it with me to Morocco. Filter, put any old crap in there, put the top on, flip it up, give it a squeeze and drink. There are probably other systems you could use, but I found this very useful. So, water to go. Now this is an ex-British Army basher. It's, what can I say about it? It's fantastic quality, it's waterproof, it's a tarp, you can do any number of cool groovy things with it. You can make yourself shelters, you can, you know, if you stop you can just string it between a few trees, or you can even just tie it to the bike and you've got yourself an instant shelter. If you're clever, you can grab sticks and cut a few hazel sticks and make yourself poles, and you can make yourself a tent. These are really good, but there is a disadvantage. If you stick it beside my tent, you'll see it's not a lot smaller, and it's actually not a lot lighter either. So anybody that says, oh, you really want a tarp, tents aren't cool, tarps are where it's all at, well, that's fair enough. This is a much bigger tarp, it's a hell of a lot lighter, and it costs about £5 off eBay. So, you know, you pays your money, you takes your choice. Now this is another thing that is just ineffably cool. It's a jungle hammock with a built-in mosquito net. It's very compact, it can fit into my tank bag. In fact, it's just about all you need for a night out. But, and it's a big but, round about here, finding a good place to use it is much harder than it sounds. There's a lot of woodland, but it tends to be dense conifer woodland, and it's pitch black even on a summer's day. It's filled with insects and ticks and deer and biting insects at night. So I've used it, it's okay, but again the tent wins. US 20 dry pack. Now this is a tail pack that will fit on the back of the CRF. It's a good size, 20 litres. I got 30 litres in the Kriega panniers, and I got another 20 litres in the tail bag. I just haven't used it. This is a useful thing if you're doing any sort of photography with a GoPro, or you know, really useful. Endless amounts of paracord. Again, if you're going to use tarps, you need this stuff. A few very lightweight alloy pegs. Again, if you're playing with tarps and you're playing with paracord, very useful to have this. Pump, pressure gauge. On a dirt bike, if you want to let your tyres down, you need to be able to pump them up again. So, and again, I brought all this stuff with me, so clearly capable of carrying a lot more, but this is stuff that I haven't used very much. I find the little Banshee tent is perfectly adequate and is the thing I go to most often. It's very romantic, camping with tarps and stringing things up between trees, and you can sit there thinking, oh, I'm cool and groovy, I've got this wonderful camp. But the reality is that in most cases a tent is actually a hell of a lot easier, a hell of a lot quicker, and come wind and rain, it's actually probably a lot more robust as well. One of the rules of doing this sort of thing is don't walk with the camera, keep the camera still, but I'm going to break that rule right now because I just want to show you a little bit about where we are. Actually on the Foss Way, which is an old Roman road, and it runs an immense length, and this is a ford. It's a ford across the River Avon. It's one of the branches of the Avon. There's another branch a little bit to the south of here where there was an old Roman town, and I'm going to show you it in a minute, but let me just walk a little bit closer. And here we are, the River Avon. It's a lovely ford. It's not too difficult at this time of year. It's a little bit trickier in winter. You get a lot more water coming down. There is a little bridge, and being fully loaded, I've been a wimp and a woos, and I've gone over the bridge. But if you feel inclined and you're not afraid to drop your bike, I suggest you come here in January and see how you feel about it. The Avon, for those of you that don't know, the Avon runs south from here and eventually curves round via Bath to Bristol and ends up in the Bristol Channel, and it's a very famous large river. It's by coming up the Avon that ships brought back slaves and sugar and rum from the West Indies. What can I say about the CRF? I love it. I think it's a brilliant little bike. What have I done to it? I've changed the front sprocket from a 14 to a 13. Everything else is normal. I like having decent fuel consumption. My trail riding skills are negligible. I don't need extra power. What I need is extra skill. So far I've had enormous fun on it.